In medicine, oftentimes, we think that any offer to us is the opportunity. But I think the danger in even saying the word opportunity is that you all of a sudden have FOMO, fear of missing out. What am I going to miss out on? Instead, I think we should do things like, hey, there's this job opening. Let me figure out whether or not this is going to work for me.
This episode is brought to you by Set for Life Insurance. Listen, docs, one of the first steps we took to pay off our student loan debt was realizing we paid way too much for our disability insurance. That all changed when we found Set for Life Insurance. They helped us with a customized insurance policy that met our needs and, most of all, budget. To learn more, check out setforlifeinsurance.com.
What's good, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Docs Outside the Box. I am your host, Dr. Nee. Joined by
Dr. Renee.
So, remember guys, this is a podcast that is a fusion of money, medicine, as well as pop culture. Listen, I want to give a shout out to everyone who's listening to us through the audio podcast, as well as everybody who's watching us right now on YouTube.
Yep, make sure if you're listening on the audio experience, if this is your first time, make sure you smash that subscribe button. And then if you're on YouTube, or if you're not on YouTube and you want to go over to YouTube, first of all, you can go to the show notes of this particular podcast. If you're on the audio, you can go to the show notes and it will take you directly to YouTube. Make sure you smash that subscribe button as well.
We're trying to build our YouTube presence, guys, so that's why we are doing that. So make sure you do that. So today we're going to be talking about books, particularly a book review, and this is going to be on a book that I'm really excited about that I just finished reading. Actually, I just did the audio version, but I have the physical book right here. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You: Why Skills Trump Passion in the Quest for Work You Love. Now, this is one of the 12 books that I said earlier that I'm going to be reading for the entire year. I am 5 books in right now, got 7 more to go, but I figured now is the time to do a review of this book.
Oh, we're in May, so that means you're on time.
I am on time. So for me, the way how I've been doing it, I listen to these audiobooks on my way to work, which depending on which work I'm going to is anywhere between a 2-hour or now like a 5-hour commute. So I've been able to kind of run through and listen to a lot of these podcasts as well as audiobooks really quickly. So
Nice. So, all right, well, tell us what you...
Well, quickly, let me just say who wrote this book. This book is written by Cal Newport, published back in 2012. So it's a oldie but a goodie, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, that's wow.
Yeah.
It's 11 years already.
Sold way over 1 million copies. I think that stat of 1 million copies was several years ago, so it's sold way more than that. This is definitely in the category of life advice, as well as, I'd say, career advice, productivity, really more on the life advice side. I think in terms of my rating, I have like a 5 out of 5 and then like a +1 for, life-changing. In terms of stars, this is a 5 out of 5, I think. But I wouldn't say
a good book.
It's not life-changing. Like Atomic Habits.
This is the good book.
Hey, depending on who's listening, they may call you blasphemous. This ain't the good, you ain't hear that from me. This ain't the good book.
This is a good book.
This is a good book, but not the good book, all right? And we have
About to get you canceled.
No, about to get you canceled, all right? You on your own.
I'm with you.
She's on her own. She's the blasphemy one. She's the one who don't go to church. The heathen, all right? So let's keep it moving, though. This is 304 pages, y'all. And if you go to the show notes right now, you can click on the Amazon link in the show notes and you can find this book. So let's start off by saying, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Right? Is it better to be passionate about something, even though you don't know anything about it?
Yeah.
Or you want to learn more about it versus being an expert at something or even a master at something and people asking you all the time for your opinion?
Wait. So the question is about, do I want to be passionate or do I want to be an expert?
Yes. But basically it boils down to, would you rather just be passionate about something that because passion is like, this is what I wake up thinking about this, I go to bed thinking about this is what I want to do versus, yeah, I'm really good at this one thing. I may not be passionate about it, but I'm really good at this one thing and I am the best at this.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
That's what I'm saying, passion versus mastery.
Ooh, that's a tough one. I don't know. I think So if I'm passionate about something, I feel like that thing will motivate me. But sometimes people are really good at something, but it doesn't really motivate them.
Right. So I would say for me, before reading this book, I definitely was on the passion side. Right.
That's where I would fall. I haven't read the book, by the way. So that's where I would fall. I would fall in the, be passionate.
So after reading this book, so basically the whole scheme of this book is questioning, is it better to be passionate about something versus be an expert and master something, right?
Okay.
And it basically says, well, there's been over the last 20 years, maybe even longer than that, a lot of people saying you should go out and follow your passion. Mm-hmm. And if you follow your passion, then it's never really working. Right?
Okay.
That whole concept, right? Like if you're working in Wall Street, just go ahead and go work in a Buddhist or go to a Buddhist, monastery and go work there and you'll be happy. That's your passion. Or go start an ice cream shop. That's your passion, right? Mm-hmm. This book is saying, not so fast, right?
Okay.
You should slow down and maybe focus not on passion because it's fleeting. It could change, right? Your passion one day can change 2 years from now, maybe even 5 years from now, or you just find out your passion ain't make no money, right?
and it's not your passion no more.
And it's not your passion anymore, right?
It's an expense.
You can't make a living off of that.
This is my expense.
So the book is basically saying that maybe the fulfillment is actually in becoming a master. The fulfillment is in becoming an expert. So if someone were to ask me, right, you're like, okay, so if someone were to ask me about this book, I would just say, okay, in 3 sentences, this book is about the idea of finding your passion in order to find a fulfilling career is flawed. That's the first sentence.
Okay.
Right? The second sentence I would say is focus on developing valuable and even unique skills to become experts in your field.
Okay.
Right? Focus on developing valuable skills to become experts in your field. And then the passion and fulfillment will come from becoming an expert in your field.
Okay.
Right? So this is a huge...
I'm very interested to hear
This is a huge
more.
departure for a lot of people.
I would say probably for most people.
And I'd say for most people who want to become physicians,
Yes.
most people who want to go into healthcare,
Yes.
this is a huge departure. And actually, when you ask me who should read this, I think every medical student should read this book. You know how they give us the on-doctoring book that nobody ever reads?
I've never read that.
Right? You know what I'm talking about. Alfred, can you show a cover of the on-doctoring book?
Yeah.
Because when y'all see it, you're going to know exactly
You'll be
what
like,
I'm talking about.
I seen that book. I ain't read that book.
They give it to you for free in the beginning, your first year of school. Nobody ever reads
That's part of the problem. They give it to you for free.
I never read it till this day. It's been how many years now? 22 years now.
Oh, God. You
Almost
dating yourself. You old.
21 years. I've never read that book. But this book is like that. This book is required reading, or at least, even maybe not this book, the teachings. The thought process behind this book should be something that should be given to every medical professional, mainly because the thing that drives most people to go into medicine is the feeling that this is a calling. It's a passion. And as we know, your calling and your passion, once you get into healthcare, a lot of that stuff doesn't equate.
Okay. Oh, now you talking.
Right.
Now you talking, right? Because that for me is now very concrete. Because yes, I definitely can see that where people are, and we've talked about this on the show, right? Where you are so gung-ho as a pre-med and you're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this.
You're so naive. Yeah.
Right, you're so naive. You actually don't understand the day-to-day. You think you do, but then you really don't. And then by the time you get to residency, that notion of, oh my God, like I really want to do, actually becomes more like, God, like this is so much work. It's so inefficient. It's so like life-sucking, like that actually does change.
Yeah, and I think that what this book is trying to say is stop trying to be so rigid, right? Particularly if you're rigid with your ideals.
Right.
If you're so rigid with your ideals and you find out that, well, once you become part of the healthcare complex, so to speak, if you're so rigid in that, it becomes a very jarring experience. And you feel like you have to bend, you feel like you're being forced to bend, you're being forced to assimilate, and as a result, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Right.
Right. So that's why I think this is really great reading for people like, medical students and even residents who need to know that, yes, it's okay to feel like this is a calling for you. But that passion is only going to drive you so far. Right? After a while, you have to realize that in order to set or make up a career for yourself, that really the magic in your career, the long-standing career, whether it's academics or community-based or if you go into social media, it's really focusing on being an expert at something that other people are not good at, and realizing that you can't have everything. You're not going to have everything in medicine. You're not going to have everything in healthcare, or even whatever. Even if you're not in healthcare and you're just watching this and you just stumble upon this, you're not going to have everything in your career,
right?
Whatever it is. But to be so good that people come to you, they have to negotiate with you.
That they can't ignore you.
They can't ignore you. They have to pay you a certain amount.
Right.
You ask for certain days off. They have to give it to you. That's where that magic comes from.
So, okay. All right. I'm trying to wrap my head around this thought, but I think I see where the book is going. Now I'm intrigued. I do actually want to read this book. So from what you're saying anyway, what I understand is that, it's not that you shouldn't have passion around what you do, right? It's not that you shouldn't have, a love for what you do, but that in how you do whatever it is that you do, how you develop the skills, how you start to master those things, that is the thing that actually will fuel kind of your continued desire to do that thing.
Right. So exactly what you said. So he says that there's two types of mindsets, right? One mindset is going to leave you disappointed. Another mindset is going to put you on that path towards mastery. So the mindset of passion is a thought process of what is the world going to be able to offer me, right? And as you know, the world don't owe you jack, right? And there's going to be a lot of disappointment there, right? When you think that there's passion, like you're working off of passion, you feel like the world owes you something, right? Whereas if you work on mastery, it's this mindset that's called the craftsman mindset, which is you show up to work, you do your job, and you do it really good. You're building something, you're mastering something. And actually that you change your philosophy, your mindset a little bit to not what the world can offer me, but what can I offer the world.
Right.
It puts you more in a mindset of, I feel like I'm in control more, right? This is really for people who are like, if you feel like you're in a dead-end job, or you feel like you have no autonomy, if you feel like, you want to do a side hustle, you're not sure what, like this mindset is saying, okay, the work, the joy is in showing up every day. It's not in the prize. The joy is in the process.
In the process. Yeah, so I can see that, right? I think you and I are probably a good example of that. I feel like there are a lot of people.
Speak for yourself.
Anyway. Okay, well then fine. I'm the master. But I feel like a lot of people actually do kind of follow the principles of the book, but I don't think I've ever heard it really said like that before, right? Like, so we talked about on a previous episode, we talked about why I do locums, right? Why we both do locums. And for me, it was niching myself out so that, I could practice medicine, but really because I wanted to be able to have an impact on, physicians who need a break, who want to spend time with their family.
That developed over time, right? Because that's not initially why you did locums,
right.
But
it wasn't initially, It wasn't initially why. So that craftsman mindset, right? You start doing something, you start building something, you don't even realize you're building something, and all of a sudden you look back and you're like, this is kind of going good. So you keep building that, right? And so for me, when I initially started to do locums, it wasn't because of that, right? I started doing locums because I just didn't want to peg myself into a hospital or a practice that I didn't know if I really wanted to commit 3-5 years to. That's why I started doing it. Not realizing I started building this kind of skill set of doing locums for the reason of being able to give physicians and their families, time with each other, recreational time.
For example, you realize that, yes, being an OB, that's important, but there's a lot of people who do that.
Right.
And then doing locums, there are not many people who do that, but that's not really niche. What you decided is I'm gonna be that person who is very accessible and able when other physicians want to take time off.
Right.
And that's where you're going to position yourself.
Right.
And you're going to position yourself up front with that knowledge.
Right.
Not many doctors want to do that
Right.
from a locum standpoint. They just say, oh, I just kind of want to have autonomy, and it could be whatever reason.
Right,
But I
right.
think a lot of people are like, look, when you need that day off or you need that vacation, I'm your woman.
Call Darko.
I'm your doctor. I'm there for you, right?
Right.
And that's the point, right?
Right.
And that's the reason why all of the practices that you've worked at, they love you, because anytime they need time off,
Right.
you're there. The first ability is availability.
Right. Right.
Right. And I think that's the key. So if you are someone who's if you're a medical student, you're transitioning to residency, or if you're a resident and you're transitioning, you're starting to realize, man, you know what? I really can't stand the fact that I got to do these pre-authorizations, or I can't stand that I
Right.
got to do all these different things. I am not looking forward to doing this as an attending. The thought process is, well, I'm just going to walk away from it. If you look at it from a passion standpoint, I've lost the passion. They sapped it all out of me. I'm not going to do that. But if your goal initially was to be impactful in your community,
Right.
to change medicine in some form or fashion, well, like just being a physician, you're not going to make that change.
Right.
What is it that you're really passionate? For example, like we have a friend. We're not going to say their name right now, but we have a friend. We've known this person since medical
For 20
school.
years.
This person is very competitive in his specialty. He has transitioned from place to place to place to place in a good way. He has a leadership position, and now because he's done such a good job working with residents, working with his other colleagues, he gets job opportunities all the time, which initially, whenever we talk to him, he looks at it as a problem.
Right.
I get this opportunity. I don't know what to make of it.
Right.
I don't know what to do. I feel like this is a dilemma, and now I'm stressed. Do I move with my, do I move here? Do I move there? Is the pay the same? What if the pay is a little bit different?
Right.
What if it ends up being a position that, and then all of a sudden, analysis paralysis. You look at it differently. I like the way how you look at it.
Well, I mean, I've said this a number of times on the show, is that any job opening is just that, right? It's just a job opening until you determine whether or not it really is an opportunity for you, right? And so I think, in medicine, oftentimes what happens is that we think that any offer to us is the opportunity, right? We automatically put in our heads that it's an opportunity, and
Is
the
it just
danger.
medicine, you think? I think
Well,
it's-
no. I think it's other things too,
Right.
but I'm saying specifically in medicine, I think that this happens. But I think this happens in many other industries, right? But I think the danger in even saying the word opportunity before you've actually determined whether or not something is an opportunity, is that you all of a sudden have FOMO, fear of missing out. Because if you say no, this is an opportunity. If I say no to this opportunity, what am I going to miss out on? Instead, I think we should do things like, hey, there's this job opening, or somebody called me and asked me to do something. Let me figure out whether or not this is going to work for me.
So before we get into the weeds, you think the way in which you even look at the definition of opportunity versus opening, clarify that, because I think sometimes that goes over people's heads. So what do you mean by that?
So an opportunity is not the same thing as a job opening, right? A job opening is basically someone determined that they need a butt in the seat, right?
Okay.
We need somebody to do X, Y, and Z, right? So that's the job opening.
Right.
And that is what the job, whatever place has determined that they need. An opportunity is what you need. So someone offering you a job opportunity, for me, is an oxymoron.
So don't you think an opportunity is an opening plus it works for you?
So an opportunity, not necessarily, right? Because here's what can happen.
So for example, if I need a job and the only opening is a job in Alaska, and they only have one position, they only have room for one position, which is a trauma surgeon. They don't have room for an OB, right? So you're saying that that's an opening. That's not an opportunity.
That's not an opportunity, right? Because
Well, that's for you. That's what you said.
Yeah.
What if I say that's an opportunity?
Then we're gonna have problems. So no, that would not be an
We
opportunity
need your
for
support,
you.
not your laughter, everyone.
Yeah. Anyway, that would not be an opportunity for you. But let me tell you how you can turn a job opening or a non-job opening into an opportunity, right? So an opportunity is something that we create. It is not something that someone creates for us. So just like that book says, right? You have to look at what you can offer, not what is being offered to you. I think it's the same thing with opportunities, right? So here it is.
And let's not go too much into the
We're not
weeds.
going to go into the weeds. We're not going to I promise, we won't go too much into the
right.
weeds. But essentially to kind of follow the lining of the book, as I understand from what you said anyway, is that you can actually create opportunities for other people that they didn't even know that they wanted, right? So, for example, let's say I'm talking with someone and they're a colleague of mine and they have a private practice and they're like, oh my gosh, like I want to go on vacation, but I can't because I have to work and, there's never a weekend that I can take off. I want to go to this place, but I would have to take a week off and I don't, blah, 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 right? They're not offering me a job. They're just complaining about the fact that they don't have an ability to take some time off. And I say to them, what if you went to Aruba? Let's say they want to go to Aruba. Let's say you went to Aruba and I actually would run the office for you. I'd be on call for you. Right? Now, I just created an opportunity for myself to do the thing that I really like to do, the thing that I've established my expertise in, even though there wasn't a job opening. So just kind of like you said, the book says, you can't just wait for the universe to offer you things.
Right.
Right? You have to then create those opportunities. And that doesn't mean that there isn't an intersection of job opening and opportunity, but every job opening ain't an opportunity.
Okay, so we established that. I think, so just real quick, back to the story that we were telling about our friend, right? So now our friend keeps getting offered multiple job
in
offers.
mastery.
Right. Multiple job offers.
Sitting at home.
And the dilemma, he has the dilemma, but necessarily are they really problems, right? And they're not problems or he looks at it as problems because he's like, well, I gotta make a decision. I don't wanna make a decision. I don't know what's the perfect job and all these different things, but there is no perfect job, right? And I think there was always a job that was a pie in the sky for him.
Yeah.
There was one particular position in medicine that he always wanted. And I think as he's gotten closer and closer and closer to it, he's like, I don't want that. Because that's was something he was very passionate about. He didn't really know he didn't know all the specifics of the job until he got really closer and he started to realize, yeah, this thing that has been driving me since I graduated from medical school, yeah, I'm not so passionate about that anymore.
Right.
And what I've been doing and the career that I've been creating, the skills that I've been developing, the mastery that I've been doing, I'm super passionate about that. I love doing this.
Yeah.
And some of these...
And I'm very good at it.
And people keep calling me and asking me to come and work at these jobs, but I'm not necessarily going to get an opportunity to work at what I'm really passionate about or work at what I'm really good at.
Right.
It's just, I'm so good at this, you can do this other job. Fill this warm seat. And I think that's where the issue for him is like, I don't want to take this job. And I'm saying that's a good thing, actually, because that means you know exactly what you want to do. You're not going to just take this regular job that you don't want anymore.
Right, right.
I hope you guys kind of understood that. Are you guys getting this, hopefully? Everybody nod your head. If you're listening, it's like, yeah.
You in the back, you ain't nodding.
Yeah,
you
nod
got a
your
question?
Alfred, nod your head. You get it.
So, no, I mean, I think that's,
Oh, you know who's really good at the craftsman mindset? Alfred.
Oh, yeah.
Alfred, you got the craftsman mindset big time.
Yeah. So for those of you who may not know.
Alfred was like, listen, I don't do this, but I do this really good.
Yes,
like,
yes.
True,
so those of you who don't know, Alfred is our video editor, our esteemed, I don't know if he's world renowned, but he should be video editor. And let me tell you something. So, case in point, Alfred. That's a great example. So we asked Alfred, right, to do our video editing, right? And we just said, hey, can you just, make videos for us and, edit them or whatever and do some clips. And he's like, sure. And all of a sudden, we start seeing these like graphic effects and all these funny things that he's inserting into the videos. And let me tell you something, guys. If you ain't watching the videos, you are missing out on what Alfred has to offer.
When Renee starts clapping, she's serious.
But I'm serious, right? So Alfred created an opportunity for himself, right? Where there was job opening, right? As well as he created an opportunity. In other words, we not looking for another video editor no time soon.
And just so you know, Alfred, people be asking, I'm not telling them nothing. You ours.
I know you've been out.
What?
No, I'm teasing.
You cannot kidnap Alfred for yourself.
But the one thing, though, that we have to be really clear about is when we first started working with Alfred, we asked if he can do multiple jobs.
Yes.
And he was very clear with saying, hey, I am really good at this.
Yes.
Those other things I can do, but I'm not really that good at it. Why don't we just focus on this?
Yes.
And then after a while, you're like, dang, he's really right. He's really, really good at this.
He's so good, we can't ignore him.
We can't ignore him.
We can't ignore him. And I think that that's really important, right? So back to our friend, right? That's kind of the same thing. It's like, hey, can you do this? Now, people are going to see that you're good at certain things. They might ask you to do those things, but they might ask you also to do other things that you're not really that good at, right? And it's like, where do you draw that hard line to be like, no, I'm building this skill. I'm building this expertise so well, so good that I cannot be ignored in this thing that I do. And by the way, I'm not just good at it, I actually enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
All
right, so listen, this is a really good discussion, but why don't we just take a really quick break where we'll come back and talk about this book.
Hey everybody, this is Dr. Renee and
Dr. D.
And we are so excited to invite you to our recap watch party for our new series, Doctors for Hire. The first episode was Dr. Renee's locum story, and it's where I'm looking for a new locums gig. And we want to get your feedback so that we can know what you thought about it. So we're going to be inviting you to a recap party on May 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you go to locumsandlunch.com, go ahead and register there. 10 lucky viewers are going to be able to get free lunch on us. So we hope to see you there May 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern, locumsandlunch.com.
And we are back. All right, so let's jump right back into this book. Let's jump to top 3 quotes that I love from this book, just to kind of continue with someone who's trying to think about, should I purchase this book or not?
Yeah.
Right? Remember, the link are in the show notes, guys, okay? So the first quote is, if you want to love what you do, abandon the passion mindset. What can the world offer me? And instead, adopt the craftsman mindset. What can I offer the world? Right? I really like that quote.
Yeah.
For me, the reason I like that quote is I really like things that just say that I'm in control, or have a mindset that I'm in control, as opposed to things just happening to me. I'm, in the driver's seat. The next quote is, if your goal is to love what you do, you must first build up career capital by mastering rare and valuable skills, and then cash in this capital for the traits that define great work. So, if you want to have more time off, if you want to be able to negotiate, whatever it may be so good that you just say, hey, listen, I work 7 months out of the year.
Right.
The rest of the months,
right.
I'm on vacay, or I'm gonna be here.
Or for example, I work 1 weekend per month.
Right.
And you say, same thing with you. You work 1 week at a time.
Right. And then I take a week off, and then I do that, right? And then people are like, well, because we paid off our debt, or because I'm board certified, or because I always make sure that I do enough cases to make sure that I know what I'm doing, right? We have built enough career capital.
Right.
You build enough career capital so that then you can really not call the shots, but really feel like you're in the driver's seat. And then the last quote that I really like is, passion comes after you put in the hard work to become excellent at something valuable, not before.
Right.
In other
Right.
words, what you do for a living is much less important than how you do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boom, guys.
And that's
Boom,
why
guys.
that's why I was asking, like, can you master something and still have passion for it? Yes, but the order. It sounds like the book is saying that the order matters, right? That the order matters. That you could find something that that you like, that you're interested in, but get really good at it first, and then the passion will come.
And then, so you may also be thinking, well, look, I understand that if I'm not really happy with my job, then I got to find out one skill and be really good at it. How do I do it? Well, the book goes into that. It covers it, and it says something. It calls it the deliberate practice mindset. Sorry. So basically, if you're trying to figure out what skill you can work on and continue to practice, he has a mindset. He has a set of tasks that you can do to get better at it. And basically, how you improve specific skills so that you make yourself a master is 3 things. 1, you have to set a challenging goal, right? Then the second thing is you have to get feedback from experts. Mm-hmm. And these experts are people who can let you identify what your strengths as well as what your weaknesses are. And then you have to be able to show that you are getting better at it, i.e. you have to be able to practice it. Mm-hmm. So once again, we're talking about the deliberate practice mindset. This is how you develop really great skills. Even though you may hate your job, how do I get so good at that one thing that, nobody else can do what I do? Right. You have to set a challenging goal in that. You have to get feedback from people who are really good at that. Make sure they tell you what your strengths are. Make sure they tell you what your weaknesses are so you can continue to work on it. And then you got to practice it.
Yeah.
Right? So for example, like me, like right now, when I finished residency, I was good at intracorporeal suturing, right? Because we had a really good laparoscope.
Tell the people what intracorporeal suturing is.
So intracorporeal suturing is the ability to suture inside the abdomen, like laparoscopically, right? Mm-hmm. That's just a form of, I'd say, moderate laparoscopic skills, right?
You're so doctorish right now. Ugh. Ugh, God. I like to do intracorporeal suturing.
Okay.
You might as well say it like that.
Okay.
And don't open your teeth when you say it too. You just gotta say it like,
you got me there.
Harvard.
You got me there.
I gotta go to Harvard.
You got me there.
Like that.
And next, I should be wearing a bow tie also.
Basically. And
start saying stuff like, I'd be remiss.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be remiss if I didn't fix what I had to say. So basically, guys, the ability to suture things together through basically a laparoscope, right? Like, what's the best way to say it?
Just show the laparoscope, Alfred.
You know what I'm talking about, right? But the point is basically, over the last 10 years, I haven't really done it that much, right? And I'm trying to pick that skill back up again. So what I've been saying is that I have a goal of, I want to get better at being able to suture laparoscopically again, right? So the goal is I want to be really good at that. And then I've been getting feedback by using like these virtual simulation systems, right? Like you can go into a lab, you can do it online, or I have one here, I have one even at work where you just kind of film yourself like with these instruments you're suturing and someone can watch you. Right? So I have, someone who's known as a really great surgeon in this who's been giving me, feedback and saying, hey, you're good at this, or you're bad at this, turn your wrist more this way. And then I keep practicing it over and over and over again so I can get back to being good at that, right? You can do the same thing with podcasting, right? There's a certain way in which I want to conduct the interviews, right? I have to be very specific as to the way in which I want to conduct the interviews, right? We work on it together, or I have other people who I'm in a podcast mastermind with. I seek advice, and then I practice it over and over and over again. So that's part of that specific skill set that if you're looking to separate yourself, that's how you do it. You find that skill, you set a goal, you practice, you get expertise, feedback, and you go from there. So actually before we get too far, I want to ask you actually, because I've just listed what I want to work at, but I want to know for you, one, is this a book that you will read?
Oh yeah, I think I'm definitely going to read this book. This is very interesting to me. One, because of what I do, right? Like, not just the locums piece, but working with pre-meds, right? is something that, over the last 20 some odd years, I've really, really tried to, improve and get some expertise in, right? And so working with pre-meds, I think it's important.
So you're saying what are you an expert in then?
I would say I think I'm an expert in helping pre-meds get into medical school. And I think I am an expert in locums. Now, I don't know if the book says you could be an expert in more than one thing, but
you can.
I certainly think that I'm an expert in those things. And, I think that it will help me not only with the approach to, my business with pre-meds and what I'm doing with them, but it will also help me in helping them shape what their careers are going to be, right? So that they understand, the passion mindset versus the craftsman mindset, right? And understanding that, listen, for example, lots of times pre-meds will say, I want to be this kind of doctor, right? They always want to be some kind of doctor before they even take the MCAT. I want to be an OBGYN and you're an OBGYN and that's what I want to do. And I'm like, girl, you don't even know what OBGYN does. Like you so don't know what an OBGYN does.
Wanting to be a pediatric endocrinologist?
No, I was in med school when I said that, but I did want to be a pediatrician.
You were like a first year.
Anyway, whatever.
You were like, it was like the first week we met.
Was
you were
I
like
in med school? Was I in med school?
But you never experienced working with a pediatric endocrinologist.
So yes, of course. I think we were all there at one point in time. Right?
I wasn't. I was very realistic as to what I wanted to do.
Really?
Yes.
Because right now you should be an OBGYN / orthopedic surgeon. Okay. Thank you.
Carry on.
Thank you. So in any case, I think it will help me to help them kind of craft, if you will, what they want to do with their careers. And understanding that even in going into medical school, right? Like even in that process, like bringing things to the table, as a pre-med and understanding that you are building from the beginning. Like it doesn't start after residency. You don't start building your career after residency. You actually you start building it now, right? And understanding what you're good at. And so as you go along and you start to get more experience, then you will become an expert and really niche yourself, into things because you understand the passion mindset versus the craftsman mindset.
Yeah, I think so. That's a good point. So I think definitely if a medical student was listening to this, I would definitely say, don't let passion be the only guide when you're choosing residency.
Exactly.
Right? Like you want to know, you need to do the research, find out what's required for each specialty, what's the job market, does this work with your personality, do you really see yourself doing this in 10 and 20 years? Basically what this mindset forces you to do is to really understand who you are.
Right.
And say, okay, can I see myself doing this? And realize that passion can be fleeting.
Right. And understanding also that it's okay for things to change.
Yes.
Right? Because as you're building, if you think about building anything, building a house, right? If you think even about building a house, right? You envision what this house is going to be, but your initial plans for the house may end up changing based on a number of things, right? Based on the soil, the quality of the soil that you're trying to build a foundation on, right? Like based on the permits that, you can or cannot get because of whatever, policies in that particular city. So understanding that, just because you have a view of how things, are going to be, that doesn't mean that those things can't change. And if you are building, then you should be able to adapt to that.
So is it best to say, don't try to get like a townhome condo as your career, try to build your career from the ground up and stuff like that?
Wait, what do you mean? You mean because you got a condo in residency?
Yeah.
I guess so. I don't know.
Don't go for I'm trying to say don't go for a prefabricated type thing. You know what I'm saying? Y'all get my point, right?
No, I don't, but okay. If you do, that's all that matters.
Anyway. Don't get a prefabricated condo career.
Okay.
Build your own type of house.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I see what you're
This is
saying.
not hard. Like, how do you not figure that
In
out?
other words, there's no template.
There are templates, but don't do it.
But that's what I'm saying. Don't follow a template.
Yes.
Okay, great. That's all you had to say.
Is there anything else that you want to know about this amazing book? Like I said, not life-changing, but it's a really good book.
Well, I mean, I definitely am going to be getting on the audio version.
Yeah, you should buy it.
Yeah, so that I can, take a listen and really, really understand
You didn't
where
catch
the
what I
author.
said?
Yes, I did catch what you said, and I am ignoring
But
you.
this is my own version, and it's my own audio version.
No, don't worry.
The audiobook is my own login.
Because your money is my money, and I'm going to buy it.
You don't have my login, though.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, she does. She does. So yeah, no, I'd really like to get to, I'd really like to read the book because while we had a great discussion here, I'm sure there's, a lot more that the book can help to put into perspective for me and, as I'm trying to build stuff.
There it is, guys. A review of So Good They Can't Ignore You, Why Skills Trump Passion in the Quest for Work You Love. 5 out of 5 stars. Written by Cal Newport. Definitely recommend this. Must read for anybody who's going into healthcare. And if you are in medical school, you need to be reading this book so that you don't have a prefabricated, templated career. You have something that is built from the ground up. But yeah, this was a really great book, and I really enjoyed it. Links to this book is in the show notes. And once again, shout out to everyone who's listening to us. We really appreciate it.
Yep.
And make sure if you are on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below.
Yep.
In the show notes, as well as, where else would it be? In the
What?
show notes, right?
Yeah, it's in the show notes. Yeah.
In the show notes, guys.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. We are going to catch y'all on the next episode.
Wait, we got some announcements that we need to make.
What kind of announcements do we need to make?
We need to make an announcement for our recap party.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry about that, guys. I was going a little too fast.
Yeah, you were going a little bit too fast.
My bad. Go ahead.
Right, so we need to make an announcement for our recap party. Wait, when is this episode coming out?
Ooh, you see?
This might be after the recap party. We can't do that.
This is the day before the recap party.
There you go. So tomorrow we're going to have our recap party. That's going to be on May 23rd, right? May 23rd at 1 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be virtual. And the recap party is for our first episode of Doctors for Hire. So if you've been following our video series for Doctors for Hire, great. If you haven't, don't worry. We're going to recap it for you on that date. The recap party is titled Locums and Lunch. Lunch is on us for the first, or not the first, but for a lucky 10 people who are going to be viewing. You had to have signed up before May 20th. So if you're just hearing this for the first time, sorry, you won't get free lunch, but you still should join us. For those of you who've already signed up, we should have already let you know if you are one of our free lunch winners. But yeah, join us. We also are going to have Locum Story, who is our sponsor for the
Locumstory.com.
No, they're just called Locum Story. Locumstory.com is their...
Oh, I thought they like locumstory.com.
Well, they say locumstory.com because they want you to go look locumstory.com.
Locumstory.com.
Okay. Anyway, so we're going to have Locum Story there as well. They are our sponsors, but they will be helping us to kind of field some Q&A. We're going to be answering your questions about whether or not you want to become a locums, if that is a good fit for you. And you can basically ask us anything locums related or otherwise. I mean, we're not going to stop you from asking us other questions, but yeah, go ahead and join us. If you want to sign up, the link is in the show notes, but it's locumsandlunch.com. Just go to locumsandlunch, all spelled out, .com. And yeah, hopefully you can join us for the recap party and we'll have a good time.
All right, y'all. We'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Or at Locums and Lunch. Peace.
Get this book. Get this book. Get this book.